Sky Squad, we have got to talk about Kenya Moore on the Tamron Hall show. Now, Kenya Moore was an invited guest on the Tamron Hall show. Tamron invited her to be able to tell her story about what really happened with Brit Eady on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, that was filming earlier this summer. So we all know the story that we have heard. However, Kenya elaborates a lot in this interview about what happened to her that led to her feeling a certain type of way, threatened. And that way is threatened. She says she felt threatened. And she also says that she felt like after reporting alleged threats, that production treated her like a black Karen. Let's get into it, y'all. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. We got to get into a discussion about this real quick because there's a lot to cover. Now, for those of you guys who may not recall, there was a story that came out. Shout out to the Neighborhood Talk because much of the story is going to come from the Tamron Hall show and clips from previous postings from the Neighborhood Talk that told the story at the time, right? So the story at the time had been that Kenya Moore and newbie Brit Eady had gotten into a heated altercation and threats were allegedly involved. Now, Kenya does corroborate this story in this clip here. And so I'm just going to play you a little bit because it's YouTube. I kind of have to talk in between. So if that's why, I'm not playing it full on out, this belongs to someone else. But per YouTube guidelines, I've got to make the content different enough that we're explaining and we're recapping. So just take a listen to some of what she says.
And right. I don't start anything, I respond. So during this taping.
So she's going to go into a little bit of what happened that led up to her feeling threatened.
The young lady escalated it to the point of tearing off mics, screaming all kind of obscenities at me and threatening me. I felt threatened.
So she says that she felt threatened. Later on, she will say in her clip with Tamron Hall that Brit allegedly kept repeating, "You don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. You don't know who I am." So we've gotten this idea that she was yelling explicit, obscenities or what have you, allegedly, and, ripping her mic off or, in some type of heated, altercation, and then saying, "You don't know who I am," which led Kenya Moore to feel threatened. Okay. Now, if you look at the headline here, I'll make it a bit bigger. It says, Kenya Moore says that Real Housewives of Atlanta production made her feel like a black Karen by not taking her safety concerns about Brit Eady seriously. Because at this point, she feels like, I'm a single mom, and if anything happens to me, no one would be there for her daughter. Now, Tamron Hall, in my opinion, does a great job of asking the questions that need to be asked. Okay, so you felt threatened. You spoke to the network. Kenya doesn't feel like the network did enough due diligence on her behalf to protect her. So, and I'm giving you a paraphrased account of what she stated. She felt like she needed to take matters into her own hands to protect herself. Now, for me personally, if I feel threatened by someone on my job, I am, of course, I'm going to let production know. Okay. And it sounds like she did that. Now, if production has, as we have heard, investigated the incident and found that there was nothing of the sort stated specifically about a pow pow, as we have talked about regarding this headline, then what we saw from Brit Eady when she posted what she had to say about the matter, she had stated at the time this. She says, thank you to everyone who has reached out to me about what took place at the event yesterday. I'm still processing the nasty, low, disgusting, vile things that was done to try to hurt me. Bullying and revenge P are never okay. Brit, okay? And then Kenya Moore denied it later, okay, stating that I have never distributed private images or footage of anyone. She says, I would never engage in revenge P, have never distributed private images or footage of anyone, nor solicited images owned by others to use to threaten or blackmail. I have always been vindicated, and I can't talk about this. I can't talk about story even with people planting fake news. Okay. So she said all that then. So now she is telling Tamron Hall that she went online and she, with the help of others, found this information because Tamron says to her, you know, we were all excited about the opening of your business, your salon spa, your hair spa. And the story then becomes about this versus the opening. She says, okay, so you felt threatened. And while, you know, we talk about, and they kind of get into this discussion about how you can't police how someone responds to something, Tamron did hold Kenya to the fire and say, well, but you also chose to respond in this way. Now, what Kenya states is that this is just simply how, literally, I'm paraphrasing, but a game of housewives. You know, she says, and on Housewives, when someone does something to you, you go and find receipts on them. So she says that she, along with whomever else that helped her, I'm not sure, went online and found this information online. She's very emphatic that she found this information online, that it was readily available to anyone with a Google search or whatever. She said she was not sent the images, she found them. And she states in the interview that she only showed one image. But of course, there were more, allegedly. All right. Now, to move further into
Two of us validate my.
she says that again, she found the explicit photos of Brit Eady online and only used them as receipts because she says that she knew the network would likely blur them out. Now, while we know that to be true, right? I was on a show on Bravo called Stripped. Everybody was naked on that show, okay? But we also knew they would be blurring that out. But let's talk about the reality of that, right? Even if they are blurring it out, the people who were in the room with us while we were naked still saw us naked. I mean, granted, you know, nudity in this country is kind of sometimes viewed as taboo, whereas in other countries it can be celebrated. So it just kind of depends on societal norms and how you feel about that. For me, I really didn't care because I was just like, it is what it is. Give me my money. Not really, but it was just a part of the experience at that point. I say all that to say that while the viewers may not see it because it may be blurred out, that means the millions of people who are watching the show, she knew they wouldn't see it. But what about the people who are in the room when it's being filmed and when it's being shown? They still see these images or the image that was going to be shown. So it would have probably been a better idea if you were going to go this route to simply state what you found versus showing what you found, especially if you knew that they were going to blur it out. That is just my opinion. Okay. And, you know, Kenya then goes on to continue to talk about how she felt like, you know, she needs to protect her beautiful daughter. She felt threatened. She felt like the network wasn't doing anything about it. And in my opinion, to me, that's where you call in your attorney. Okay. But I do want to get into the fact that Kenya Moore does somewhat own this situation. So we're going to talk about her ownership of it. So let's talk about it.
And hindsight is always 50-50. If I could do it all over again, I believe the photos were very distasteful and I elevated the situation.
Now, we broke this down, during our live, but to break it down here for the short version is that the statement that the photos were disturbing or disgusting, whatever she labeled them, she said that she's indicating they were there. What I did was I elevated them, i.e., I brought awareness to them on this platform. And so that is what I am sorry for. Because you got to be careful about the language here. I'm assuming that's the case, but I can't be for certain. I can only go as far as my law and order SVU degree will take me. Okay. So she says that, and I just want to point that out again.
And I believe the photos were very distasteful.
Okay.
And I elevated the situation. I've elevated situations before,
so
and I've taken full accountability for the things that I've done. I am sorry for what I've done.
Okay, so for me, I think that for me is what I think I wanted to hear, right? I'm sorry. And again, I had to address this before, but like some people will look at this as in like, oh, you hate Kenya Moore. That's not what this is about. This is about analyzing a situation and actions, and I'm not placing judgments on anybody. That's up to you, right? I'm simply giving you what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to analyze it and process it, and that is where we're going with this. Especially from the lens of somebody who, A, has been on reality TV, and B, is a fan of the show, obviously, and then C, someone who has worked in public relations. So I'm always thinking about what is the best response to a situation like this? What should one do? How should one appropriately apologize? Which you can't really tell anybody how to apologize, but I can certainly give you guidance on the best way to do it.
I didn't have to take it that far, but when I felt threatened.
So I like that she said she didn't have to take it that far. I think that's where we get into the ownership. But we kind of go in a different direction right now.
I've never had a child and be in a situation like this before. So that's why I escalated it to the point where I was protecting not only myself, but my child.
So if her logic is that, well, production is not protecting me, so I've got to protect myself. To me, if I feel threatened by someone, I'm probably not going to further antagonize them. But I think that's also a part of the distorted reality TV effect, right? Because in real life, if I feel threatened by someone, if I feel like that, then I'm calling either my attorneys or the law. Okay. And I'm not filming with this person until something is done about it. And I'm not going to risk my safety for anybody. So not this show, not nobody. Okay. And I don't want nothing to do with this person. I'm going to stay far away from them, and I want them to stay far away from me. Don't even utter their name in my presence. Okay. Actually, can we get a protective order? Because I don't trust her. That's to me what I would do. Okay. That to me is what I think most people would do. But again, we're talking about the microcosm of the world of reality TV, where sometimes that line is blurred between, oh, you came for me, I got to come for you. But again, if I feel threatened, I ain't coming for you. I'm staying away from you. Okay. And I'm staying away from you because I do have more to lose now, right? I've got my businesses. I am a mother, all of these things. I'm Kenya Moore, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you are new here. You can't be coming. You can't, not you. You too new. You just started going here. That would be my mindset if I'm Kenya, personally. But let me know what you guys think about this situation. I think it's just interesting. It's fascinating. I think that, Kenya Moore adds a lot to the show. I think she is a valuable asset in terms of a reality TV personality. I think she's viable in terms of what she can do and her ability to help sell the show. So it'll be fascinating to see how all of this plays out, because later on in a different clip from, I think it was posted on the Bravo Shade Room, she does go on to state that, you know, Andy Cohen has actually been a great support system for her, and that she could possibly, when asked by Tamron if she could possibly pop up at the reunion, she says it's a possibility because she thinks it's important to have her point of view told. And I, for one, am interested in hearing her point of view, and I think it could be done in a way that maybe mediated properly could be an inroads to maybe her coming back. But I don't really know, because of the severity of the situation, if that would happen at for the next season or this season. But I don't know. I would be interested in at least hearing her take on it in the mix with the rest of the ladies. But let me know what you guys think in the chatterization. I'm just giving you the tea, breaking it down, analyzing it, and then seeing where we all land on it. With that being said, I will catch you in the next video.